Kaboom! Hey, what's going on, guys? Ty here, Breaker Culture, Bench Clear Media team. I wanted to talk about grading cards right now because I put a tweet out last week that obviously ruffled some feathers. I showed the sell price of PSA 10 BGS 9.5s, hybrid grading 9.5s, and SGC. I just showed kind of where they're falling, how they compare, and that was after a limited number of hybrid grading 9.5s ever hitting the market. And I wanted to show it because I felt it was important for people to have perspective. Not because I believe in hybrid grading being able to be somewhere in the middle of BGS 9.5 and PSA 10 prices, really because I just wanted you to have perspective. Now, you can see the tweet, I got it up here right now. We're about 7 days later, so we're a week later after that tweet was posted. And I've broken down some more numbers for you. And I want to show you this for two reasons. One, I want to give you additional perspective, and I'll tell you the cards that we're looking at. But also, I just want to talk really quickly about how you should potentially approach grading cards right now. Because there's options, right? And it's not just PSA, it's not just BGS. There's hybrid grading that is a real contender. There's SGC. You have to decide, right? And I'm going to help you see some data here. So let's break down a couple cards and then talk about maybe how you should approach grading cards and what your options are. Now, the first card I'll look at is the 2020 Topps Chrome Luis Robert number 60. PSA 10, we'll use as the baseline, and you can go see. So that's the card that has the most data for hybrid grading. There are, I believe, 6 HGA 9.5s that have sold already. BGS 9.5s, there's a few out there, obviously, and SGC has a couple 9.5s. Right now, the scale is this. BGS 9.5s are getting 60% of the value of a PSA 10. HGA 9.5s are getting 51% of the value of a PSA 10. And SGC 9.5s are getting just a little under 20% of the value of PSA 10. Okay, so that's our first baseball card to compare numbers against with a solid amount of data. The 2018 Topps update, Juan Soto, US 300, PSA 10, is the baseline again. We're looking at BGS 9.5s getting around 75% of the value of a PSA 10. HGA 9.5s are getting about 60% of the value of a PSA 10. And SGC 9.5s are getting just a shade below 50% of the value. So you can see SGC's got a wide range there, of course. But again, hybrid grading is a few percentage points below a BGS 9.5. So we're starting to see this equal out a little bit. Now let's look at basketball. So a good one to compare against it, because there's at least a few sales of all of these, is the 2019-20 Hoops Ja Morant number 297. They're all PSA 10, BGS 9.5, HGA 9.5 are all within 10 percentage points of each other. In fact, hybrid grading has the highest average sell price right now with their HGA 9.5s. So an interesting one there, and I'll tell you what my takeaway is from that here in a second. The 2018-19 Hoops Luka Doncic, number 268. PSA, the average was 350. The last couple, HGA 9.5 average is 360. And then the BGS average of the last three is 185. So an interesting one there. Football, there is a few we could go look at right now, but there's only one, maybe two of each of the hybrid gradings. And actually, there's not a lot of the BGSs either, because it's just too expensive to rush those through. And we're still not that far removed from this season ending. So my takeaways. If you were a new collector, you're probably thinking, well, what the heck? What do I do here? What should I really be focusing on? And I think just from looking at the preliminary data, and again, realizing that we're going to get more hybrid grading data very soon. I think it's going to start filtering out. They're bringing in about 1,500 to 2,000 cards a week, and they're actually staying on that timeline. So, by the end of March, we're going to have a good 10,000 cards back into people's hands, and we'll be able to really see what happens. But my takeaways are this. For your personal collection, I think it really does come down to your preference on slabs. I think what we're seeing is that people are putting a higher value than we expected on the slabs and how beautiful they are. There's no doubt about it. Hybrid grading has the most beautiful slabs in the hobby. Again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but I don't think there's any disagreement collectively that hybrid grading is doing a great job with designing their slabs. They're unique. I think a good percentage of the new collectors coming in really prefer that look. And with some of the color parallels, it just looks outstanding. But for your personal collection, you might not want that. You might want to stick with the standard slabs that people have been used to for decades and decades. So for personal collection, I think it really does come down to this slab. Now, if you have a preference of selling or flipping or investing in a card, then I think a few things come into play. I do think it's going to be sport dependent. I think what we're going to end up seeing, and we already saw this here with a few examples that we have, basketball may end up being hybrids' claim to fame, especially early on. It looks like basketball collectors are willing to pay a premium of a hybrid grading slab. We'll see if that starts to level out, and I'm guessing it will a little bit. But I think basketball collectors are more open to change. So if you have base cards or some of the lower end parallels, I would say hybrid grading is a no-brainer choice. But when it comes to football and baseball, I don't necessarily think you're going to see as good of a return with hybrid grading, and obviously not an SGC right now. So I would say PSA and BGS would be what you stick with, more than likely PSA. So I think the objective should really drive everything, as sports will matter. Now, back to the point of lower end, I think what we're going to end up finding is for cards under $200, it probably makes, and if you're not just doing it for your personal collection, you're looking to sell the cards, flip the cards, send in quantity, it probably makes sense to try to get them into hybrid. Because I think you're going to find that the delta between the three is, it's not worth waiting 8 months to 12 months, for your cards when you can get them back fairly quickly with hybrid grading. So that would be my suggestion there. Now, here's an interesting stat. This was posted on a Facebook group yesterday, I believe, but a PSA employee posted that there's a backlog right now of 10 million PSA cards, and a slab is 5 1/4 inch long. So if you break that down, it ends up being 828 miles long, laid out, connected to each other. That'll get you from Kansas City to San Antonio if you lay all those PSA slabs in the backlog out. They have an incredible amount of cards in the backlog. They're going to get through that. Obviously, prices go up. It's going to start to slow things down. They had no choice but to slow things down. But the reality is, there's going to be 10 million more cards added into the float of available graded PSA cards. What will that do? I think we're gonna see really quickly what it'll do. But will scarcity of the newer base cards, because you're going to see less base cards graded because of the price increases and the current delays, to pay the prices right now, it just don't make sense. So I think you see less base cards going forward, especially when it's $20 for a 12-month turnaround at PSA right now. I think you see that decline a little bit. But will we see more value placed on those PSA 10 base cards going forward? I think that's one thing that we'll see. But when you have 10 million cards added into the float, it's going to be really interesting to see if that waters down prices considerably. Now, I want to leave you with this as you look at the options to grade your cards. There's really a couple things to consider, right? What are you doing with the card? If you want to PC it, what do you like for your slab? If you want to flip it, what kind of turnaround are you looking for? Are you in season? And maybe what sport? I would kind of weigh all those things together. HGA right now is going to cost you $20 for a 60-day. Now, HGA is going to guarantee their turnaround. If in fact you can get in, by the way. It's hard to get your submissions in right now because they cap it on a Friday night during the submission window. But it's $20 for a 60-day. It is $30 for a 30-day. This is the average. It depends on quantity. And it's $50 for a 10-day. So again, just kind of perspective there. You're ranging from 20 to 50. Now, to get that same card At BGS in 60 days, you're going to have to pay the express fee, which is $150 a card. Their scale is for economy, which is right now on their site saying 8+ months. And I can tell you it's definitely more on the plus side because I've had plenty of cards in BGS over the last year, or at BGS. Economy is going to cost you $35 a card. So that is the cheapest way for you to get in with subgrades, $35 a card, 8+ months. Standard's going to be $50, and that'll get you 5+ months of turnaround. Their express, which is 10 to 15 business days, so 2 to 3 weeks, will be $150. And then premium, which is 5 to 10 business days, so assume 10 business days, will cost $250 a card. Okay. PSA, here's your options with them. $20 for ultra modern, $20 for modern, which is anything before 2018. Ultra modern will be $25, and both those will be 9+ months out. So if you want to submit a card right now, a base card, you're going to pay $25 for a new release, and you're going to get it back 9 to 12 months from now. The regular, which was $50 last week, and now it's $100, 4 to 5 month turnaround is what they say on the site right now, according to their throughput, will cost you $100. Express, which is a 6 to 8 week turnaround, will cost you $150. And then Super Express, which is 2 weeks, will cost you $300 a card. So there's complexities around grading. And I know I put that tweet out and it ruffled some feathers. Again, I hope you understand that I just want to give you data. I don't want you to be able to decide. So I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are. Now that you've seen hybrid grading, you started to see that the price increases and the massive backlogs. What lessons are you taking away from this, and what is your strategy for grading your base cards and your cards for your personal collection, cards for investing? Would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below.